The amount of wrong or misleading statements by TV licensing, in my opinion, of course, is staggering. And I've received yet another one from one of you guys today, which means they still haven't corrected the wording. Now, I'll come back to that one in a moment, but this is not the first time I've covered this. I've covered these for some time, in fact. This one about a year ago. I questioned whether that was really from TV licensing. Not genuinely questioned. I questioned, would they really send this? Obviously, they did, according to this viewer. And just as the caveat, these, when they're sent to me, I take them as good faith. If they look like a genuine letter to me, I'll comment on them. I can't be 100% certain they are a genuine letter, but they look genuine enough to me. If it's proven that they're wrong, I will stand and be corrected and apologize. But I don't think that they are fraudulent. This one back here said that they've authorized a visit to the address and then went on to say, you are now breaking the law if you watch TV at that address, which is, of course, wrong because you can watch TV without it being live TV, without it being on BBC iPlayer, and you don't need a license. So you're not, in fact, breaking the law by watching TV on demand, for example, which is still TV by anybody's definition. The next one was about cancelling the TV license. And there was a disclaimer that you must declare before you cancel it. One of those was you declare that you do not watch TV on any channel via any service, which of course is not a correct disclaimer to make because, again, you can watch on-demand TV on one of these services without breaking the law. Here again on the website, this was the questionnaire or the description as to when you want to tell them you don't need a license, and says exactly the same thing. The law says you need to be covered by a TV license to watch or record TV on any channel via any service, which is wrong. That's not the case. Again, it can be on demand, not live, and you don't need the license. And again, it says it here, and this one was perceived to be a threat that they're going to come and visit if they don't respond. And this was the guidance that was given to me in response to an email to the press office, which I'll come back to in a moment. But let's talk about today's letter. Today's letter, which shows that it hasn't changed because this is the something of January to Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. Redacted at address redacted, and says it's the 2-year checkup, which some people object to. I don't think that's so onerous, but you're entitled to your views on that as well. Declaring once every 2 years or so that you don't need a license, I think is reasonable. And this, of course, is not a bash against the BBC. Lots of people like the BBC. Lots of people like what they do. This is separate. This is specifically the TV licensing fee that we're talking about here. They say, as it's been 2 years since your household declared no license needed, we want to make sure there's nothing you're watching. Make sure, they say they want to make sure there's nothing you're watching or might want to watch that you need a license for, especially now there are so many more ways to watch live TV. At least they put the word live there in the main body of the letter over here. Now, just before I go into these, the reason this is so important is, one, tens upon tens of thousands of people a year are prosecuted and convicted of this offence of not having a TV license. International viewers, by the way, in the UK, we need a TV license to watch or record live TV or use BBC iPlayer. That's the British Broadcasting Corporation. Like I said, nothing against the BBC here, but we need a license for that. Tens upon tens of thousands of people are prosecuted and convicted for this offence. Now, this is the prosecutorial body, TV licensing, prosecuting these individuals, based presumably on their understanding of the law, which is presumably contained within this letter, which is presumably a genuine letter. Again, I'll stand to be corrected if it's not. I might contact them on X, actually, with a screenshot of a bit of this and invite them to comment. If they do comment, I'll come back and I'll update you with their comment, or I'll pin their response to this video. I'm not a news company, so I'm not under the same obligations for the right of reply, because what I'm saying might be taken as a criticism. I'm happy to include a reply if there is one. I'm happy to pin it, do a whole new video about it if there's a reply to either stand by the contents of this letter that purports to be from TV licensing, or to contradict it and say, actually, hands up, it's wrong. We'll get that changed. But I don't think that will happen. Anyway, let's get into it. That's the reason it's so important, because they prosecute people for this offense based on the understanding which is presumably set out here. So let's go into this. You'll need a TV license if, and then there's 4 boxes. There's a varying number of boxes depending on which documentation you look at. But this one in particular has 4 options. Let's work on the most straightforward ones first. If you enjoy watching or downloading BBC programs on iPlayer. Now, somebody did leave a comical comment or email, I can't remember which, about what if you don't enjoy it? What if you download it and actually it's rubbish? Can you get a refund? Tongue-in-cheek question, no doubt. But since we're talking about criminal offences here, the wording's important. Are they telling you that you need a license if you enjoy watching or downloading BBC programs on iPlayer? What if you, I don't know how it works because I don't use it, but can you watch it without downloading it? Somebody let me know in the comments. Can you watch a program on iPlayer without downloading it? This shows how out of touch I am with these things, because I don't have it. I don't know. No one's told me. Can you watch it without downloading it? I think you can. But if you can, then what if you don't enjoy it? Because the wording here says you'll need a license if you enjoy watching it. What if you don't enjoy watching it? What if you think it's rubbish? Can you then infer that you don't need a license? Anyway, let's take it as read that you tick this box if you watch it or download it. And for now, we'll let them off this one word of enjoy here. Let's leave that one out. Next one up. Watch or record live TV. There you go. That's the legal definition of requiring a TV license. Now, whether you agree with the TV license or not, it is what it is. It's currently there. It's a legal requirement, and it's a criminal offense to watch or record live TV or use BBC iPlayer without a license. Fine. Let's pop to the top one, because that's the next one, most straightforward. Watch or record live TV on, and then they can insert anything there, any channel, any device, whatever. If it's live TV, as ridiculous as it might sound to some international viewers that we still have a TV license, or even some here, we still have a TV license for watching or recording live TV. So that box is easily ticked as well. It's this one here that I have an issue with, because it says watch or stream, which just means you press play and then it's transferred from the remote server to your screen. So it's not broadcast. It's not the same as a broadcast. It's a stream. It's stored somewhere else on the cloud. You press play and it plays on your screen. It's transferred through the cloud internet and appears on your screen. That's streaming. So this says you need a TV license to watch or stream live content. Now, being even more specific here, the bit that is absolutely, in my view, categorically wrong in the way that it appears without clarification is where it says live content. I'm going to zoom in for effect and emphasis. Live content through online services like Amazon Prime Video, ITV Hub, All 4, and YouTube. Now, live content through all 4 is probably TV, so that would probably be right. I don't know about Prime Video. Does Prime Video have any live content that is not TV? I don't know. We'll come back to the guidance in a moment, because that may or may not shed some light on that. I suspect not, actually, but maybe Amazon Prime Video is TV, maybe it's not. ITV Hub, I suspect content through ITV Hub, if it's live, is live TV, because it's ITV. So probably ITV Hub would count as live TV if it's live content. The one I fundamentally and categorically disagree with is this one. Now, whilst it is possible to have live TV content on YouTube, like Sky News, because it's a recognized TV broadcaster, or any of the other broadcasters, if it is live TV content on YouTube, yes, I agree, you need a TV license. But I've done dozens of live streams on YouTube. There are dozens of other live streamers on YouTube. And Disignore, Charlie Veach has done live streams on YouTube. That's live content. If you watch or stream live content from me or Andy Signore or Charlie Veach or lots of other people, creators on YouTube platform who do live content, if you watch or stream live content, for the sake of emphasis, if you watch or stream live content from any of us who are not recognized and don't want to be recognized television broadcasting program services on YouTube, you don't need a TV license. This is fundamentally wrong. And the reason I get worked up about this is because I work in the legal profession and people are quick to criticize the legal profession because they see the legal profession as it's either prosecuting or defending. It's either claiming or defending. And so if the legal profession and the legal sector, if you like, which will include the police and everybody else, and even private bodies that prosecute, like the post office, that prosecuted lots of people that have now discovered that it was all wrong. How many people out of these tens upon tens upon tens of thousands of people that have been prosecuted for TV licensing offences pleaded guilty, found guilty on wording like this, which is wrong? This is surely another scandal, is it not? If people have been found guilty or pleaded guilty on the basis of wording like this, because it is wrong. This here is wrong. You do not need a TV license if you watch or stream live content on YouTube unless it is from a live TV broadcasting company or service. So how do we know? How do we know whether it is a TV broadcasting program, service, whatever? Well, I wrote to the press office. It's the only response I've had from them so far. As I said, if I get any response, I'm going to post to them on X about this and say, why has this not been changed? Do you agree that it's wrong? I don't know whether I'll get a response or not. Is it a genuine letter? I'll ask that as well. Because whilst it certainly looks like a genuine letter to me, if it's not, then I'll stand to be corrected. But I don't think it's fraudulent. But this was the guidance that I did get back because I asked specific question. I don't know if I can find my original question somewhere here, but I asked specific questions and they gave me this guidance. Now, the guidance was whether or not there's a definitive list of broadcasting services and all that sort of stuff. The guidance, they weren't willing to provide comment, but they were willing to provide guidance, which I find a bit odd, frankly. Not quite the same as me saying this is not legal advice. That's more understandable because you're not my client watching this, because this is, you know, a one-way thing, really. I'm speaking through the camera to you guys and I appreciate you watching, but I'm not sitting down with you and I haven't got the opportunity to say, well, you know, what did you do with this? Did you watch that? And ask you questions, and then I'd be able to give you specific advice. What I give you here is guidance. So maybe they were on the same lines, whatever. But they gave this guidance, and they said, a TV license is needed to legally watch or record television programs live. Thank you very much. That is exactly the point. Live, i.e., as they are transmitted and received by the rest of the audience on any channel, any platform, any device, and so on. But not content. There's a difference. Live programs is different from live content. Although a live program is still content, but you can't say live content as a broad definition and say you need a license for that. That's not how the law works. If it were how the law works, then that's what Parliament would have written. And if they want to change it to mean that, they won't, by the way, don't panic. But if they wanted to make it read that, then that's what they would do. It isn't, they didn't, and they won't, in my view, obviously. Or, it goes on, download BBC programmes on BBC iPlayer. watch or download BBC programs on BBC iPlayer. It doesn't say anything about enjoying them. It just says you could watch or download them on iPlayer. This includes programs on free or paid for channels on any aerial subscription, satellite, cable, etc., or streamed online. Now, again, streamed online, funnily enough, also means live content, live television content, and live non-television content, if that makes sense. So if it's me and I'm live, it's still streamed online because I'm still live, but I'm not a television program. So according to the first bullet point here, if it were me broadcasting to you live, it's still live content that is streamed online, but it's not a television program. It's not a live television program. Make sense? Of course it does. The next one here, channels received on any platform from overseas. I've said this before, and that's what the law means. I agree with that. That's what the law means. It doesn't matter where it comes from. If it's live television program, then you still need the license. Channels streamed online and at the same time as they're being received by the members of the audience or broadcast by other means. Again, it's still live TV. That's fine. This means, and this is where we get to the real crux of all this. This means that for YouTube, a license is needed to watch programs on channels streamed live, but not on-demand content. If you to read that first sentence in isolation, that would make you think maybe you'd need a license to watch me. Am I a program? Some people might think of me as a program if you don't differentiate me from TV. I'm not. But then the second sentence actually clarifies this position, and then the following bullet points sort of solidify it a little bit more. Second sentence here reads, also, no license is needed for content that cannot be reasonably regarded as forming part of a television program service. So there's a subjective element here, maybe an objective element. That would be for a court to decide. Cannot reason. I don't think that's in the legislation, by the way. I don't think there is a subjective objective test within the legislation. It would be down to a court to determine whether or not there's this test involved. Content that cannot reasonably be regarded as forming part of a television program service. For example, non-broadcast content such as on-demand video clips and other user-generated content. So straight away there, the word content, user-generated content. So if you are streaming live, user-generated content, this guidance says you don't need a license. But that's not what this says here. This says you watch or stream live content through YouTube, you need a license. Their guidance says no license is needed for content that cannot be reasonably regarded as forming part of a television program service. For example, live content, user-generated content. For a service to require a license, this is when it tries to go into a bit more detail. For a service to require a license to watch, it must be a television program service. A number of factors come into account, including whether it's got a regular schedule of programs. Now, here's the thing. You could argue, have a regular schedule. It's practically daily, almost daily for 3 or 4 years, whatever it is now. Almost daily, not at like 10 o'clock every day. So you could subjectively assess whether that counts me in. It doesn't, obviously. But these are the sort of things that they would take into account. The schedule of programs, how continuous the service is, presumably for how long it's going for. I've been going for a while now, but that doesn't make me a TV program service. Editorial control. I don't have editorial control. I suppose to some extent, Google, i.e. YouTube, has some editorial control in that there are certain things I can't talk about. There are certain things that will get removed. There's certain restrictions with copyright and so on, and community guidelines, all of that sort of stuff, which I will comply with. So there's some form of editorial control, but not in the sense that I think they mean here, which is there's nobody above me saying, edit this bit, take that bit out. There's no one doing that. And consistency. The quality of production. No giggling at the back there. I do what I can. I make the best quality I can, but admittedly, I'm no professional at this. I buy the best equipment in the hopes that it makes it look a bit better. But I could arguably just do this on an iPhone. I know plenty of people that just do it on an iPhone. Mr. Beast, didn't he not have an iPhone up to 100,000 subscribers? Someone correct me in the comments. I vaguely remember that as some trivia fact. But finally, if you wanted to make absolutely sure that you're not breaking the law by the one, let's say one program you're not sure about and not sure whether you need to part with money for a license for, so you think, let's check the list. Well, tough. There's no list. It says here, we don't produce a list of the kind you request. The media landscape changes continually with new market entrants, changing services. Simply isn't possible for TV licensing to do this. I mean, that's fair enough, but the boundaries could be a little bit tighter, I would think. We would expect that the content from the majority of independent YouTube creators wouldn't fit the criteria. So an ambiguous response at best. Is Andy Signal a television program service? It's Popcorn Planet. You know, is it TV, media TV? You know, I mean, let's have a look at what he says here. You know, daily news, pop culture justice, daily videos live, Tuesday, Thursday, 3 p.m. Sounds like a regular schedule of programs to me. Is there an editorial control? I don't think so. I think it's just Andy doing what Andy does best. Many of you might be forgiven for thinking this is a TV program service, but it isn't. In my view, it isn't. He's an independent creator. You do not, in my view, not legal advice. In my view, you don't need a TV license to watch Andy Signal live. And yet there it is, regular schedule. And however many he's done. But this would have you believe that watching live content, you need a license. And this would have you believe that from independent creators, the vast majority of independent creators, you don't need a license. So which is it? I mean, do you need a license to watch Andy Signal or not? My view is not. But there is the point is there is no definitive answer to this question. The only thing you can go to are these letters, which even without the ambiguity of an individual creator amounting to a television program service, which in my view doesn't, is again, in my view, not legal advice, but my view, wrong. You can watch live content on YouTube without needing a license. So I think that's wrong. And I think the whole thing's wrong, because if people are being prosecuted, tens upon tens of thousands of people prosecuted and convicted every single year, a disproportionately high percentage of them women, 76% from memory, being prosecuted and convicted. If it's off the back of wording like this, I think that is a huge scandal that is about to unravel. And you heard it from me first. So let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if you've got one of these letters. Let me know if you've got a different letter to one that I've talked about before, because this needs to blow up. Because, as in a story, it needs to blow up, because we need to really get to the bottom of this, because these letters, they need to be either disavowed as not being genuine letters, which I think they are genuine letters, or it needs to be disavowed in the sense that they don't agree with the content and they will correct it, or that they stand by it, but then they have to give a reasoning for it in law, because they are threatening to prosecute people based on the understanding that they put out in these letters. So let me know what you think. I personally think this is wrong in the wording and wrong in practice. Wrong that they are prosecuting people, threatening to prosecute people, visiting people, intimidating people on the basis of wording, which in my view is wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Send me your letters. And as always, thank you for watching.